Resident notices. Okay, so resident notices. So yeah, you got to post resident notices. Basically, any type of communication you would have with your residents is resident notices. So that's what we call them, the type of communication that you would have with your residents. So when you're running the affordable housing community, when you're running an apartment complex community, you're going to have to communicate with your residents. I mean, how else are you going to talk to them? How else are you going to talk to your residents? You gonna go door by door? Yeah, you can, but what if they're not home? What if they're not home? You gotta leave a letter for them. That's what the notice is. Actually, that should be the specific way that you talk to everybody, especially when you're coming on board. When you come to the new apartment complex, whether it's a maintenance tech, whether it's a assistant manager, whether you're a manager, whether you're a regional manager, you should always create a letter to all the residents introducing yourself. Hey, this is who I am. This is my background. I'm going to be the new so and so here. Look forward to meeting you little by little. This is some fun fact about me. You want to introduce yourself, and then that's basically what the notice is. That should be your first notice. At any time you go to an apartment complex, a new apartment community, anything like that, that should be your first resident notice. And that should be the first letter that you pass out to the residents. So, I just because I thought about this, I'm gonna bring on some other managers soon. Soon, I'm gonna bring on some of my other colleagues, and what I'll do is I'll have them sit next to me like this, and we'll talk, and I'll ask them some questions, and you'll get like a different point of view. Well, I think it'll be very beneficial to see that different side because it's really good to see all sides, and I'll also get people who probably don't really who have a different management style than me, so you can see that side too. So I'll be doing that soon. But going back to the resident notices, so yeah, this is a letter that you're posting on the doors. Make sure that when you go to the new place, go around, check all the doors, all the front doors of everybody, see if they got that hook. Okay, most doors will have like a little clip used to clip papers together. You can use one of those, but most doors will have them. If they don't, have your maintenance guy install them. It's going to be very useful for you. And that's basically the little clip area where you can clip letters for your residents. Um, so any type of notice that you need to send to them, you would basically clip that on there. That's what they would find it when they get home because you clipped that letter on there. So, what do you say on these resident notices? Basically, anything that you need. If you're telling them to come to the office, you leave them a letter saying that they have to come to the office. If you're telling them that you're going to come in for an inspection, you leave them a 24-hour letter. That 24-hour letter, that's also a resident notice. So, I don't know, they call them notices, I guess, because you notice somebody, like and that don't even make sense either because you would think like when you notice somebody it's like, oh, I see something, I noticed, or something is happening and you see it and, oh, I noticed it. That's what notice means to me. But notice also means like you're giving proper notice, like you're letting people know, hey, this is going on, I'm giving notice. Or like when you quit your job and you give 2 weeks notice. So for example, when you leave a letter on a resident's door, they call it notice as well. And it's basically anything. So for example, notices that I've left on people's doors, I've left reminders, I've left letters telling people that they're in violation of their lease. I've left sometimes when we do parking lot reseal coat. You would need to have all the cars removed from there to have a parking lot reseal coat. And in order to do that, you have to deliver a letter to all the residents informing them that on this day they have to have all their cars removed because if not, it will be towed. And we're doing that because we're going to do a reseal coat. And all this information, you can put it on the notices. Big thing you can do too is that you should be delivering your own notices. There are some management practices where they have the maintenance guys deliver their own notices. They come up with something like, oh, I'm too busy, so give the maintenance guy to deliver the notices. You can do that. I mean, I personally don't do it. In my whole 10 years, I've never had the maintenance guy do it. And it's just because I don't want to take the risk of it not being done, you know? It's not that I don't trust the maintenance man to do it. I trust that they will do it. That's fine. But when you do things yourself, you do them and you're 100% certain that it got done because you did it yourself. And a lot of these notices that you're leaving to residents will have legal verbiage. And what legal verbiage means, that means that you took the lease contract, and you cut and paste a section out and you put it on your letter, and you say that you were in violation of this right here. So you're not really telling them anything. You're basically just redirecting them to a lease that they've already signed by giving them that legal verbiage. But when you give that legal verbiage, you're kind of opening the door for an escalation. And when things get escalated, everything comes to light. And just missing one notice, like if you try to do something and they tell you that they never got noticed, and they ask you, did you leave a notice on that door? And if you say, well, I gave it to the maintenance man, that's not going to hold up as much as you say that, no, I did it myself. And if you want to do one more than that, there's called a proof of service. Proof of service is when you post that notice on the door, and then you have another paper stating the time you did it, who did it, what time it was, what day it was, and whether it was posted on the door, if it was mailed, or both. And that's called a proof of service. So it's basically a process when you're delivering notices, whether it's informing residents of things or whether it's more of a serious thing. It's a whole process. And that's why I would highly recommend that you deliver the notice yourself, because then you will know for sure that you did it, and nobody can tell you that it didn't happen because you know that you did it. So that's delivering the notice. Make sure you always have your letterhead on there. Your letterhead is basically the property name, so people know who it is. Have the unit number. So you have, unless it's a letter that goes to everybody, then on the unit number part, you just write all residents. But if it's to a specific person, you want to put the unit number. You don't got to put the name. If you want, you can, but 9 out of 10, I put the unit number, and then whatever the notice is, or whatever you want, the information you want to put on there. Make sure you double check it and read it carefully. Like, specifically, you really shouldn't be writing your residents any letters at all. You should, if you're writing them a letter because there's a problem, and if there's a problem, then you just take the verbiage from the lease and you put it on the notice, and you say, hey, you're in violation of this. And that's pretty much it. You shouldn't say on you did this and you did this and this happened, because all this stuff is going to come out to light. And when you end up in court, especially if it becomes a serious issue and you go to court and all the letters that you've sent this person come to light, you want to have strong verbiage, and you want your letters to look very uniform and very professional. You don't want it to be some bullshit like, oh, you did this and you did this and you're fucking stupid, and oh, and don't do it again. Don't do it again, you know? So, and I've seen it. Yeah, yeah. And you can't blame it. Some people, they don't have that uh fuck. Oh shit. Not architect, it's fuck, how do you say that? When you're able to talk about things very well. How do you say that? You're able to talk about things very well. You're very fuck, I can never remember. But there's a specific word when you're able to talk about things very well and when you're not able to do it. And some people have it better than others. Some people don't have it as well. And you can't blame them because it takes a level of preparation to get to that point. Articulate. Yes, articulate. Architect. Articulate. Some people are more articulate than others, and some people articulate more professionally. And you know who you are, and if you don't, maybe you might think you write good, but you don't. So, I mean, I thought I wrote good for a long time, but I don't write good. So I need help with writing. So I get people to proofread it, because I know that even if I think it's professional, I know it might not be. So that's why it's best to have people proofread whatever you send. But that's why I'm saying that you shouldn't even be sending any letters to your residents to begin with. It should only be specific verbiage, and that verbiage is written by the attorney. So you don't have to worry. You're just copy and pasting it basically at that point. So that's the letterhead. That's the notices. Post your own notices. Post notices often. Keep a copy. Keep a copy of every freaking notice you post. Don't post something and throw away the copy. And specifically, and this is key, this is a golden move. When a resident comes, because every time you post a notice, the resident will stop by. When you post a notice, it's almost like an invitation. The resident wants to come by, and some of them want you to read it to them. They don't want to even read the notice. They want to say, hey, you posted this. What is this? And this is the golden one right here, okay? When you post the notice, and if the resident comes by and complains, you specifically ask them, can I see the notice? Specifically ask them, listen to what I'm telling you here. Can I see the notice? And 9 out of 10, they won't have the notice with them. They'll be like, oh, I left it back at home. Yeah. So, and it's perfectly acceptable for you to tell the resident, okay, I'm happy to help you, but can you please go get the notice so that I can see, so that we know we're talking about the same thing. That's specifically what you're doing. I've had some colleagues who get completely flabbergasted and can't work because the resident comes and tells them, you posted this on my door, and they don't know what it is, and they get scared because they don't know what it is, when they could very easily just tell the resident, bring the notice. And when the resident brings the notice, read the notice, and then you will understand what it says and what they're asking, and then you can explain it to the resident. The notice is a legal verbiage, and you need to have the preparation and the understanding to understand those legal verbiages and help residents from the notices. But if you got a resident writing some bullshit ass story or a letter or something, and someone else reads it, well, I don't know what the fuck does he want either. So notices are very important. It's a specific way to do it. Do what I tell you, and you're going to go far, and you'll be very successful, and you'll be able to get the notices.